backtrack. And you should have kept my name out your mouth. That's though how it all turned out. When you try to use my name for clout, keep on going, give me something you could talk about.
What a bop. What a bop. Put a one in the chat if that's a bop. Okay, listen. Yesterday was my first day covering the Nancy Guthrie case on my channel. And I spent like pretty much the greater part of today researching and studying the case. Oh my God, look at all these ones. Ha! Y'all are funny. Yes, that is me. That is my song. That is me. My singer artist name is Gorianna. I can explain the meaning behind that name one day, but some of y'all already know. Anyway, it's just me. It's not really an alter ego. It's just all just me. Surprise. Okay, so listen. I have how many line items on my notes? 22. I have 22 numbered line items on my notes today, and then some of those line items have line items up under them. So, I mean, maybe 30. I don't know. I do not know. So, we're just going to get started. Okay. So, today is the day, and God bless her. You know, I'm hoping, truly hoping for a good and a positive outcome in this case. Whoever, was holding on to Nancy, hopefully there's justice. I mean, I'm like in my death penalty era right now. I went for a long time thinking that we just shouldn't have the death penalty because it's used against people and, this and that. And, I do still have some of those beliefs, but ever since reading these Epstein files, I'm kind of feeling like we got to seed out certain people from our society. And I just think the best way to do it is the death penalty, like certain PDF, files. I feel like, but anyway, let me not get demonetized in the first 5 minutes. Okay. But woo. Okay. We're going to be here for a while. If you wouldn't mind throwing something in the offering plate, because these videos have been, Anyway, I ain't trying to get in trouble more than I already am. Okay. So listen. Today is the day. If you have not been following this case, this is only my second day. This is only my second day going over this case. So I will be kind of talking about it from an introductory type level. But we are going to be, yep. I see y'all saying some stuff. I'm definitely going to cover. Yep. So this is going to be a little bit, we definitely are going to be going over though primarily and predominantly, we're going to be going over the newer developments that have happened in the last day since yesterday when I was on live. So today is the deadline day for the supposed alleged ransom note. Okay, so it's hard to really keep track of exactly how many ransom notes there's been. Some reports have said that there have been 2. Some reports have said there have been more than 2, maybe up to 4. There has been a ransom note from somebody that was a fake one. That person has already been brought into court. And I think they're in jail or whatever right now. Shout out to Gabriel for becoming a new member. Thank you. So today at 5 p.m. Mountain Time is the supposed second deadline of the maybe real ransom note. The first deadline was on, I think it was Thursday, and I heard Brian Enton, who's out there on the scene, I heard him today saying that the first deadline, like if they would have sent over the money by the first date that they wanted, which was Thursday, then it would have been $4 million. But if they would have waited till today at 5 o'clock Mountain Time, which is in about an hour and a half or less now, then it would go up to 6 million. So 4 million if it was Thursday, 6 million if it was going to be ended up being today. Well, we're going to get into some of that stuff here. So let me share the screen with you. Thank you so much to Mindful Vibes for the $5 super chat. Thank you for all your hard work, BJ. Thank you. Okay, so this is a Fox News. Oh, this is a Fox News article. I'm going to turn it on the reader view, and this is from a few hours ago. This is about 4 hours ago, almost 5. Nancy Guthrie's alleged Bitcoin ransom could be paid in minutes as Monday deadline approaches. This is according to an expert. The massive transaction would only take a few clicks for the Guthrie family to complete, one expert says. Rosecliff, founder and managing partner. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Rosecliff is the name of the company. Founder and managing partner Mike Murphy discusses market components on the Big Money Show. A critical deadline is approaching as 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie remains missing after more than a week. Now, we are going to get into another new video that did come out today that Savannah Guthrie did put out. She is the daughter of the missing lady, Nancy Guthrie. She's Nancy Guthrie's daughter, but also she is well known to the public as a popular news anchor and television and news personality. So today's the day, the deadline day, and, it kinda had, sort of this, or else component to it. If you don't give me the ransom money for your mama, then, she's gonna no longer be among the living. Well, we were kinda all going back and forth, like, do we think, and I don't even wanna speculate on something like this, but people have developed and come up with their own theories, and the fact that the lady was not of the best health. She is 84 years old, and, has mobility issues, takes a medication every single day, has a pacemaker. And so people are like, okay, usually just the odds are after so many days, without, their medicines and without their home and without this, that, and the other, it's just with any kidnapped victim at all, it's the chances start to really dwindle after those first 48 hours. So people are like, I don't know if she's really made it, but we're all, of course, hoping for a positive outcome and for the best outcome. And so, yesterday we did kind of talk a little bit in the chat. I talked about it, I know for sure. Yeah, it sounded like that third ransom video that they put out. There's now 4 videos. There's 4 family videos have been put out. The first one was the 3 siblings together, Savannah, Charles Cameron, and then Annie. The second video was just the son alone, Charles Cameron. And then the third video was the 3 siblings again. That was just the day before yesterday. That one came out. Well, today, Savannah put out a 4th video where it was just only her solo. And this video did have a lot of differences from the first 3. And we're going to get into those similarities and those differences as we get through the different line items on my notes here. But, oh, thank you, Spawn. It was, still wet yesterday, my hair. Thank you so much to Real As It Gets for the $19.99 super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And also thank you to Lee Birch for the $5 super chat. Thank you for covering this case. I just can't stop thinking of it. This was my grandmother. Won't stop praying for a positive outcome. Yes, indeed. And thank you again for that $5. It's interesting. It's very interesting, the whole thing. So let me pull this back up. Okay, so these alleged ransomers have been communicating with the Guthrie family through the media since last Monday afternoon. And yeah, a lot of these ransom notes are apparently just going to TMZ and the local news stations instead of straight to the family. It's very weird. Reportedly seeking a $6 million Bitcoin transfer. It remains unclear whether the $6 million will lead to Nancy's release. And despite multiple public pleas from the Guthrie family, proof of life or a means to contact her alleged captors do not appear to have been offered, at least according to, what we've been able to see as the public. However, Monday night at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, so that would be 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. East Coast, New York time. This is the second deadline given by the purported ransomers. And this would be the supposed kidnappers or whatever. One that has been described as far more consequential than last Thursday night's 5 p.m. deadline. So thank you so much to Zen for the $4.99 super chat and the heart. So cute. Thank you. Thank you. So there were apparently like 2 deadlines. Again, like I said, the first one was Thursday, and if they made that deadline, it would be like, you can get your mom back, and it'll be $4 million. Then today you could still get your mom back, but it will be $6 million, and then that's your last chance. So that's in about an hour and 15 minutes. Um, I didn't say that. I don't know who you're freaking exclamation pointing at. I mean, maybe you're talking with somebody else, but I definitely did not say people wait 48 hours to report a missing child or elderly person. Did not say that. What I said about the 48 hours is the chances that the person survives will statistically decrease, and also a lot of places will not actually even take a missing persons report on an adult until they've been missing for 24 hours. And we're going to get into a surprising new theory that really it started with Steve Fisher. I mean, shout out to Steve Fisher, because he's on everybody's case. He's like the internet's favorite private investigator over there, but he found some really interesting stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. So we're going to talk about that, but let's just, get through it in turn. One second. Okay. Okay. So the far more consequential that they are talking about in this article is the or else of it all. It was like, if you pay by Thursday, you can have her back for $2 million less, but if you don't pay by Monday, then you're not getting her back. Authorities are taking the ransom letters seriously, and Harvey Levin of TMZ, whose outlet received a letter, described details that only said the letter described details that only the alleged captors could know. According to an expert who spoke to Fox News Digital, a Bitcoin transaction, even one with a $6 million sum, would be quick and untraceable. However, I've also seen other experts weighing in saying like these transactions are actually not as untraceable as people are trying to act like they are. So the way the payment would work is just wallet to wallet. Okay, even if the Guthries have never exchanged cryptocurrency before, they could open a wallet, deposit the money, and send it. Click here and done. You wouldn't know where it went. Again, I'm not sure that's like exactly true. An unconfirmed report from TMZ on Monday said that a Bitcoin wallet for the potential transaction remains empty. And we are going to read that article actually next. The local and federal authorities have collaborated on the high-profile case, which has captured the attention of the nation. In their latest message to Nancy's alleged captors, and it's not the latest message now, it's actually, was Savannah's, but in this one, the latest one where these three were all together, she's smiling at the beginning of it. We received your message, Savannah said, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay. Okay, so that is the first article, and then I want to still continue on this same topic. And go to that TMZ article. So it says Nancy Guthrie investigation, no transactions in Bitcoin account as ransom deadline looms. And this is an exclusive from TMZ. Okay. Oh, they did her dirt. They did her dirty with that pic. Okay. Okay. A Bitcoin account allegedly set up to accept funds in exchange for Savannah's missing mother, Nancy, is still sitting empty as of Monday morning. With time quickly winding down on an alleged deadline. Over the weekend, Savannah and her family responded to a ransom message saying they will pay the $6 million demand to have their mother returned to them. The alleged note requested payment by last Thursday, but it also listed a second deadline as of today at 5 p.m. local Tucson time. It's unclear how long it typically takes for accounts to update, but as of now, the confirmed balance in the publicly viewable account stands at zero. No transactions recorded. On Sunday, that's yesterday, the Pima County Sheriff's Department said the investigation is ongoing and they still have no suspects or persons of interest. As you know, Nancy was reported MIA February 1st after failing to show up for church. Okay, so remember this because BJ Investigates is on the case. Gonna find the truth, gonna crack the case because there is something very suspicious, in my opinion, and very fishy, to put it another way, going on with this 911 call. Okay. Something weird is going on with it. And I have been in contact with the Tucson Police Department, and I will let you know some weird things that are going on. Okay. But we're all in due time. Okay. Get your popcorn, get your Coke, get your, Coca-Cola is what I mean. Get your Diet Coke, get your Crystal Light. Okay. We're going to be here for a while. Okay. Remember this. Remember this. This article came out today, TMZ exclusive. As you know, right? Common knowledge. Take a screenshot. Take a screenshot because they gaslight us so much with the crap they take down off the internet. Okay, Nancy was reported MIA February 1st after failing to show up for church. Okay, as you know, this is common knowledge. All right. Remember this because it's very strange what's about to happen when we get to it. Her daughter Annie and her husband Tommaso. So this is Nancy's daughter Annie and Annie's husband Tommaso. These two are married, so Tommaso is Nancy's son-in-law. They were the last ones to see her just the night before she went missing. Okay. So, two big things, two big takeaways from this article that I wanted you to take away if you're writing down your notes, you're keeping notes. The first thing is, as of earlier today, the Bitcoin wallet remains empty. The second thing is, or did this morning remain empty. The second thing is, as you know, Nancy was reported missing after she failed to show up for church. Okay. Those are the two big things. Okay. Now, Steve Fisher, I don't know why I didn't think to go over there and look at what he was saying about this case before today. But when I finally went over there, he did not disappoint. All right. So this was tweeted. He tweeted this on February. This is a private investigator. He's specifically a missing persons private investigator. The first time I ever heard of him or he ever came across my desk was I believe it was the Emmanuel Harrow case, the little bit missing baby infant. I don't think they ever found him. But his parents, Jake and Rebecca, whatever. So I kind of came across Steve Fisher in that regard, in that way. And then he's done some excellent work on the David and Celeste Rivas Hernandez case. He's actually been hired by the person who David Burke, the singer, was renting or staying in the house that was being rented from this landlord. So this landlord has now hired this guy, Steve Fisher. And Steve Fisher has now been weighing in on the Nancy Guthrie case for a few days. I didn't even know. So look at this tweet. He put it out 3 days ago. He said, I'm sure the FBI, this 3 days ago, February 6th, I'm sure the FBI's already looked into this, he says. But it's worth noting Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker lost its Bluetooth connection at 2:28 a.m. on February 1st. About 2 hours later, 4:45 a.m., a small private jet departed Tucson for Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I love Mexico. That's a very early departure on a Sunday morning, Steve Fisher says. And that's not all he says. He puts a little mappy map. Okay. Canadian Chantel, these Canadians, shout out to the Canadian cousins in the chat. I definitely got a lot of them, but I just think it's so interesting that these not Americans like to chime in so hardcore, try to tell us what to think and do with these American cases. Very weird. I guess it's an international case if they flew her all the way to Mexico, but look. Steve Fisher is funny. I could probably actually take some notes from him because instead of just telling people F you, he kind of plays their stupid game. Look at this. Someone said, no way she wouldn't have been able to fly. He said, I wasn't suggesting she was flying the plane. I think she's capable of sitting in a seat. Get him. Get him. Anyway, so this is like a plane flight, okay? And he's not saying, for sure they put Nancy on a plane, but what he is saying is, it's kind of odd that a private plane was leaving Tucson at, 2 hours after Nancy pacemaker, disconnected, and it was like 4:45 in the morning, and it was just this tiny little, plane leaving from the city where Nancy went missing from. Okay, so that was one. That was one of his tweets, and he has a few. So there's another tweet about this private plane situation, and he says this one further note. When did he do this one? This one was when February 6th as well. A couple hours later, he tweets the next tweet, or he retweets it, and he says, one further note. This plane is a 19-year-old Cessna Citation Mustang. It differs from most private jets because it's a very light jet that only holds 4 passengers and is rated to be flown with only 1 pilot instead of 2. Again, this is probably nothing, but because of the timing, it's worth noting. And you know what it does remind me of? It's interesting, and I would never, make any assumptions or certainly not make any allegations. But Nancy Guthrie's son is a pilot, and it looks like he can fly, fighter jets that require only 1 pilot to fly them. Now, this little private jet wasn't a fighter jet, but it's just so, interesting to me that there's planes being talked about. Just interesting. So he says, a further note, this is a 19-year-old Cessna Citation Mustang. It differs from most private planes because it's a really small plane. You can only fit 4 people in there and 1 pilot. And it left Tucson 2 hours after Nancy went missing, and it went right here to Mexico. Now, put this together with the speculation that Harvey Levin has made, because, Harvey and TMZ over there, they did receive a ransom note. Now, I don't know if the ransom note was real. I don't know if it was another copycat, another troll, another, scammer or whatever, but remember, Harvey had drawn that map, the circle around. Well, there was like a big chunk of that circle that was Mexico. And he was like, they could get there. So interesting to me. I didn't know Savannah had a son. Okay. So should we look up what is a Cessna Citation Mustang? Let me just type this. Let me just Google it. We'll see. How many of them are there? Entry level, very light jet. Okay, they have a Wikipedia page. Launched in 2002. So this is what it looks like. It's a United States plane out of production. Primary users, Globe Air, Horsing, WeJet. I don't know. I don't know anything about planes, really. So does Steve Fisher put like a tail, a wing tag number or anything? Let's see. No, he showed this. Okay, so Steve Fisher keeps tweeting. All right, he has thoughts, he has theories. He says, this one was yesterday in the morning. He said something does not add up regarding the supposed search warrant executed last night at Annie's home. Only sheriffs, deputies, and technicians were present. If this was a warrant for blood or other significant evidence, the FBI evidence response technicians would be leading that effort. Additionally, the sheriff's personnel at the home were not wearing the level of personal protective equipment used during luminol or blue star testing. In those situations, investigators wear more than gloves to prevent cross-contamination, including Tyvek suits, boot covers, and respirators. It seems this was a consent search that the FBI didn't feel was significant enough that they needed to be involved in. Okay, interesting. Good to know. And then you do get like Brian Enton today kind of saying that. Brian Enton today was like, yeah, this was a consensual search. Like basically the family was like, yeah, go in there and take pictures of whatever you need. No problem. Okay, let me go to my next line item. Okay, this is where it starts to get like, what's really going on here? Okay. Steve Fisher, he posts this Daily Mail snippet. And I do have this Daily Mail article, or at least I have an article that cites it. Like, we are going to read a more full in-depth article on this, but just like for the purposes of right now, let's look at this snippet. And it says, a source told Daily Mail that Nancy, that's the missing lady, has not actually been seen in person since the COVID pandemic at the church, and that she's been worshiping online. The church leaders said they could not quantify or confirm if anyone from the church made the call to report Nancy as missing. And so Steve Fisher said, if this is true, and Nancy Guthrie has only been worshiping online and not in person, then this changes everything. And he's right. He's right. Just wait. He said they would not know if she wasn't logged in. Y'all remember what we read over here, right? As you know, Nancy was reported missing February 1st after failing to show up for church. Hold on. This is very important. I just want to hold you just right there. Who called 911? Who called 911? Better yet, let's rewind. Let's flip it and reverse it. How did anyone know Nancy was missing? If she's only been worshiping online and not going to church, then how is it the case? Remember, she was reported missing around noon. Around noon on February 1st. But the last time she was seen alive, supposedly, was by Tommaso and or Annie the night before, January 31st, like 9 something at night. 2 o'clock in the morning, the pacemaker disconnects. There's blood droplets on the floor. On the stoop, the stairs outside. How did they know she was missing if she hadn't been going to church for 5 freaking years? Anybody care to, BJ, maybe they were looking at the home surveillance system. No, they weren't. Them cameras got busted. Something is very weird. People are saying live church. Nope. They would not know she was not logged in. On day 1 of this case, when I appeared on Law and Crime with Chris Stewart, I asked why whoever was supposed to take this lady to church didn't notice the crime scene and notify the family. Even though she had a car, she did not drive any longer. This would explain why. He shows how they go to church. I'm going to show you all that tweet, but there's a couple thoughts I want to finish here. He shows how he knows there's no way you would know if Nancy was logged in worshiping online, because it was the video player that they played the church through was like Vimeo. It wasn't Zoom church. And think about it, that wouldn't even make any freaking sense. Even the church, like I know churches that put their worship, they do their services online. They put them online. They will live stream them to YouTube. They will live stream them to Facebook. But Facebook and YouTube don't show who's online. Like all of y'all, I mean, if you're in the chat, yeah, sure. But church services don't have people in a chat. I mean, maybe this one did, but I'm going to show y'all. Blue Rose Cash said there's no way to know who logs in and out of a church. Who made the phone call to Annie saying she didn't come to church? Whoever made that phone call to come to church has to be the kidnapper. I mean, I don't know. Emily said they got a chat for her church. So what? So, all right. Let's see what TMZ said. Did they say she didn't do a chat in the church chat? No. Failing to show up for church. The thing that's weird about this to me is they didn't have to say that. Could have just been, hey, I called my mom a few times this morning. She ain't answering. Can somebody go check on her? Or I called my mom a few times. This is weird, y'all. We really have to press in. We got to press in. We got to get to the details of this. The most obvious thing would be I called my mom a few times. She didn't answer. Then I got my sister to call her. She didn't answer. I was out of town. My sister couldn't go over there. So then we, called the cops for a wellness check. She didn't go to church. So they called the cops just hours after she went missing. I mean, it wasn't like she was missing for days. She was missing for a few hours. It wasn't like, she was expected to show up to work the next day. She's 84 years old. And come to find out, she hasn't been to church in 5 years. I don't know. I mean, I would assume technical issues before calling the cops. Thanks so much to Emmekins for the $4.99 super chat. I've had a gut feeling of where this is headed since the pacemaker disconnection part. And I hope not. And I hope not. And I hope not. Yeah. I mean, if, Emily, I mean, anything's possible. I don't know. Just to be clear, I don't know. It just something seems weird about this to me. The story keeps changing. She had a car, but it didn't seem like she was driving it. And that does make sense because she was dropped off at her home that night by Tommaso and or Annie. So it makes sense she wasn't driving anymore. There's stories going on about an Uber, a possible Uber, that had dropped her off at the house in the first place. Might have been a call from someone who knows her, but not connected to her, thus thinking she still went to church physically. I don't know how somebody could possibly think she still went to church physically after she didn't go to church physically for 5 years. That don't make sense. What if it was somebody who really didn't know her that good and thought, oh, maybe she still goes to church. Oh, but they knew she was missing. Oh, she didn't go to church. There's more weird stuff coming up with this story. Don't worry. She hasn't been to church in 5 years, according to the Daily Mail. And we're going to read that article. She worships online. I'm not trying to say that's not going to church, but like physically going to church. Like, no, she hasn't. She's been doing it online. Okay. So now I'm going to pull up a U.S. Sun article in the reader view. Nancy Guthrie, cops probe people who know her after bizarre doubts raised over frantic call to report her missing. Okay, so I need to keep some notes here. Didn't, quote, show up for church, but hasn't been to church physically in it's been 6 years. Well, we should say it's been 6 years. It's now February 2026. So 6 years she hasn't been at church. 5 years, 11 months. Okay. And now we're hearing about a frantic call to report her missing. Don't forget this. The investigation into Nancy, this came out 4 days ago, February 5th. Now focusing on people who may have known her, according to reports. Nancy, 84, was last seen on Saturday night at her home in the Tucson area of Arizona. She was reported missing the very next day. That's her neighborhood. That's the sheriff. Pima County Sheriff's Department detectives are now said to be investigating people known to Nancy as possible perpetrators of her abduction. Officers have said they have not completely ruled out the idea that the attack was carried out by kidnappers, but they are also now looking closer to home as well and will be following every lead, according to the New York Post. This comes after it emerged that Nancy, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, has not been to the church in Tucson, Arizona for years. That's despite police confirming she was reported missing after a, quote, worried congregation member called her family when she did not show at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. There's Annie. A source told the Daily Mail that Nancy has not actually been seen in person at church since the COVID pandemic and that she has been worshiping online. Church leaders said they would not quantify or confirm if anyone from the church had made the call to report Nancy as missing. They said, quote, all we can tell you is that Nancy has been a member here for many years. She's part of our community and we love her. This was an administrative assistant at the church. Quote, we are praying for her, and that's really all we have to say right now. I'm sure the media will know before we will. You know how the story unfolds, but we're praying for her safety and we're praying for her family. He added that he would not be drawn on whether Nancy attended in person every week in church. Well, a lot of older folks in particular like to worship online, particularly those who have mobility issues. So it's just as likely that might have been the case rather than here in person. But once again, that's not something we can quantify. He said he would also not speak on whether it was a member of the congregation who initially alerted police. And guess what, y'all? I have a video of someone on camera admitting to being the one that alerted police. And today, when I tried to get that 911 call, I started getting the runaround. We'll get to that momentarily. So far, police have no leads, with no named suspects being made known publicly. We have nothing else to go on, but the belief is that she is here, she's present, she's alive, and we want to save her. Again, this was, 4 days ago. She's been now missing for over a week. Several purported ransom notes have been sent to news outlets, according to reports, with one sent to TMZ, even going so far as to demand millions of dollars in Bitcoin in return for Nancy's release. Arizona police say they are continuing to investigate those notes while also narrowing the focus on people known to Nancy as they try to identify suspects. So they have now narrowed their focus onto people known to Nancy, and this was 4 days ago. One source told the Daily Mail they did not know who called the family, but said Nancy was known and loved in the whole community. I'm going to renew my question. Who called the cops to report Nancy missing? And how did the family learn that Nancy was missing? I renew those questions. The story keeps changing. Others spoke of their fears for the grandmother, saying she had no enemies. Anybody who knows her and has met her loves her, said friend Marianne Blevins to the New York Post. I don't think she has any enemies. And that's why this whole thing is very scary. She hasn't been seen since she was dropped off at her Tucson, Arizona home by family on Saturday evening. On Wednesday, this was, last week, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos confirmed that Nancy's son-in-law, Tommaso Cioni, dropped her off around 9:45 p.m. He waited to make sure she got inside okay, and because she suffers from physical ailments, which makes walking difficult. Nancy had been spending the evening with her daughter Annie Guthrie's family for dinner, and the group had a normal night. Y'all said they had a teenage son. I mean, did he come, drop off Nancy as well? The following morning, the family was horrified when police say they got a call from a parishioner at Nancy's church who said she never showed up for service, but she hadn't been showing up for 6 years. Around 12 p.m., the family called 911. Again, the family called 911. I want to put that in my little notes here. The family called 911. Or was it the parishioner? Even within this one article, who called the freaking police? Who called the police? Even in this one article. She was reported missing after a worried congregation member called her family when she didn't show up to church. Okay, so called her family. A worried congregation member called her family when she didn't show up to church. Look, they be deleting stuff I noticed. So I'm keeping this in my notes. All this stuff that don't make any damn sense. Around 12 p.m., the family called 911 to report her missing after conducting a wellness check at her home. Who conducted a wellness check? The family called 911 after conducting a wellness check, so the family went over there and then didn't see the blood splatter on the stairs? They found her wallet, phone, and car untouched, but she was nowhere to be found, so the family went in and stomped all around in the house. Good to know. Eerie photographs appear to show drips of blood outside Nancy's front door. Cops haven't commented on the disturbing sight, but confirmed the DNA samples taken from the home did belong to Nancy. According to the Associated Press, there were signs the property had been forcibly entered. That's that forced entry. Investigators are now begging for tips as they review cell phone tower data, surveillance video, and traffic camera footage. Our mom is our heart and our home. She's 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. She lives in constant pain. She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive. She needs it not to suffer. In the gut-wrenching video, Savannah and her elder sister Annie were reading from written statements where they thanked supporters for the prayers for their beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Annie said, "We're always going to be merely human, just normal human people who need our mom." I find that to be a strange thing to say. I'll just leave it at that. Mama. She was like, "Mama." And she realized like it sounded kind of weird. So she needed to readjust. Like, "Mama, if you're listening, we need you to come home. We miss you." Savannah addressed the online reports about a ransom note from her mother's alleged kidnapper, saying the family was ready to talk. "We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we're doing everything we can. We're ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated." Okay, and so here's the family. There's little Nancy. There's Tommaso. There's some people's kids. I don't know whose. This is Annie. This is Savannah. And I don't know who that is. I guess that's Savannah's husband. Okay. So she didn't show up for church. A parishioner called her family. But she hasn't been at church physically in 6 years. Or 5 or whatever. There was a frantic call to report her missing. Despite police confirming she was reported missing after a weird congregation member called her family when she didn't show up to St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. And then they said the family called 911. The family called 911. Okay, so maybe that might answer who called 911. Let's see if we get any conflicting stories on that as we go through. So let me go to my next line item. Or my next, thing. Here you go. Steve Fisher investigates. Nancy Guthrie's church live streams through a Vimeo player on their website. It's not a Zoom or other type of platform where you see the other participants. So I renew my question. How did the congregant know that Nancy didn't show up to church if she had been going to church online for several years? And there is a live chat. Maybe Nancy, the 84-year-old grandmother with mobility issues and a pacemaker, is so tech savvy that she is all up in the church live chat instead of paying attention to what the preacher is saying every Sunday. And it just alarmed somebody so much that they didn't, the first thing they thought to do was call the family. Girl, I don't know. It's possible, but something seems kind of weird about it to me. Because of this, Nancy was reported after failing to show up for church. To show up for church. I don't know. That really implies showing up somewhere. I don't know. Steve Fisher said, Nancy Guthrie's church live streams through a Vimeo player on their website. It's not a Zoom or any other type of platform where you can see the other participants. There is a live chat option on there, though, I will say. So Steve Fisher, I guess, is just like, this is strange. He tweets this earlier today. He said, the reported $6 million ransom deadline in the Nancy Guthrie case is 5 p.m. today, Arizona time. And that's in about 40 minutes, 39 minutes from right now. He said, so many things are still not adding up. We know the family is ready to pay the ransom. And I wouldn't be surprised if they already paid it. But imagine a scenario. Oh, man, he got my brain spinning with this one. He said, imagine a scenario where the FBI or law enforcement already has a suspect in the disappearance, possibly someone known to Nancy or the family, but they can't disclose that information to the family. So the family pays the ransom to someone that doesn't actually have Nancy. Unless investigators are able to act quickly and publicly clarify that what they can and possibly charge someone today, this scenario could actually play out. What scenario? Where the family wires $6 million to someone who doesn't have Nancy, and the FBI knows that person doesn't have Nancy, but the FBI has to be quiet and not tell the family because it can mess up their investigation. Like it's a huge standoff. Steve Fisher said if they don't do something by the deadline, that might actually happen. Unless investigators are able to act quickly and publicly clarify what they can and possibly charge someone today, this scenario could actually play out. Things are not adding up in this case. They're not adding up. And I really wasn't thinking, like, the only thing I had to go off of yesterday that was like, something's weird, is just like a few circumstantial things and just the body language and the weird vibes I was getting, but that weird vibes, you can't go on a vibe. You shouldn't be making allegations or anything. And I didn't, and I still haven't. But now it's like some like real factual stuff that's not adding up. Like, how could she have not shown up to church? And that made someone report her missing within a couple hours of her actually going missing. But then a ransom note wasn't given for 3 freaking days to the media. There also has been a fake ransom note someone's being criminally prosecuted for. And we haven't even gotten to all the different 911 call allegation, source allegations. So we'll get to that. But I mean, things are starting to like not add up. I know my thoughts have dramatically shifted, Steve Fisher said, in the last 48 hours. I do have a feeling we may get a statement from Kash Patel or the president today, giving more clarity and putting things into hyperdrive. These are just my opinions only. Okay, so let me just look it up now, just as we are approaching the deadline. The deadline is 35 minutes away. Let me just see if we have any breaking news now before I get to my next line item. Nope. Nothing since about the last 2 hours. Oh, a CIA agent has spoken. Should we take a look at that. Oh God, girl, please, my Lord. Okay. Former CIA agent, there's no such thing. I just want to let y'all know. They don't get to quit. They're always a CIA agent forever. High-ranking Arizona official says investigators are likely waiting for a single human error to crack the case. He says, we as the good guy. I gotta take a sip of water on that one. This man from the CIA calling himself the good guys. Womp womp. Oh my God, that's the last of my water. Okay. Okay, this Homeland Security CIA guy offered his perspective. The most important thing here is human error. I really think whoever is behind this and behind the email is going to make a mistake, not utilizing the right kinds of technology, and that one mistake is going to be what gets them caught. The CIA guy said that while encryption can make digital investigations difficult, the presence of a physical crime scene at the Guthrie's home in the Catalina foothills provides a significant advantage for law enforcement. In a normal cyber situation, breaking encryption, anything like that, it's going to be difficult. It's going to take time. However, again, when you have a physical crime, you have committed that you know is linked to the same thing. Those are the clues and the mistakes that will lead to finding those responsible. He said that such public appeals are often strategic, like whenever the people like make statements on behalf of their family or whatever, like let our mom come back or whatever. He said it's usually strategic. It's usually a strategic move to keep lines of communication open with the person or the people allegedly sending these ransom notes. However, he admitted, his outlook is growing more guarded as time passes without proof of life or consistent communication. He said they're being coached very well on this. Sadly, I think my optimism fades and it leads to pessimism as we see a lack of communication, a lack of proof of life, and arbitrary deadlines coming and going. Anyone with tips should contact the FBI. 1-800-CALL-FBI. A tip line was also created for the community to submit information. A reward of up to $50,000 is being offered for any information leading to Nancy Guthrie and or the arrest of and conviction of anyone involved. The CIA guy said even if there isn't a clear-cut mistake, eventually, he believes, the FBI will be able to solve the encryption, no matter how robust. The search for the 84-year-old grandmother has entered its second week. No suspects or persons of interest have been identified publicly by the Pima County Sheriff's Department. Okay. So this I found to be somewhat interesting, although I don't know how, exactly helpful. This is a really good account. Matt Black, I just heard of this person now, but they have a lot of information about the Nancy Guthrie case. The search to the rear of the Nancy Guthrie neighbor parcel as reported by Brian Enton. So, if y'all want to check these out, I do just want to at least show them briefly here. And, let y'all maybe take the screenshots or whatever. Anyway, that could help find or locate Nancy. Okay. The next thing I want to show y'all is another article from the New York Post is like all over this story. It says, this one came out today. Intriguing reason why Nancy Guthrie investigators searched septic tank. So yesterday when I was live, it was like the breaking story that they were out there poking around the water tank or the septic tank or the whatever it was, right around back, and they had a big stick in there and stuff. And I said, you know what is in the septic tank? It's the stuff that you flush and the stuff that goes down the toilet and the stuff that goes down the sink and the stuff that goes down the garbage disposal. I told y'all that yesterday. I mean, it was breaking news. You heard it here first, but now you need a former FBI agent to tell y'all that. Okay. Over here now. So you heard it here first. Put it two in the chat if you remember hearing it here first. Investigators searching, and I'm being kind of facetious, y'all. I mean, it's a septic tank. We all know what goes in there. Investigators searching for Nancy Guthrie may have been checking her septic tank for clues that were flushed down the toilet, former law enforcement officials suggested. 3 investigators were spotted searching the tank in the backyard of Nancy's home in Tucson, Arizona yesterday afternoon as the search for Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mom entered its 8th day. A lot of people forget having a septic tank means wastewater doesn't go into a city sewer. It goes into the tank. I don't know who forgets this truly. But I guess it takes a former SWAT team captain to tell you that. Well, it doesn't, because I told y'all yesterday during the live. He said, so somebody may have flushed something, thinking that it would get rid of it, but instead it would actually just be deposited in the septic tank. That's a possibility that investigators are now trying to make sure there's nothing in there that could indicate any kind of guilt. Despite the week-long investigation involving the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI, there's still no suspects or persons of interest identified in Nancy's disappearance. She was last seen on January 31st when she was dropped off at home by her son-in-law, Tommaso. Tommaso is married to Savannah's older sister, Annie. Possible ransom notes have been sent to multiple news outlets in the past week, while one demanding $6 million worth of Bitcoin. What in the hell is this game? It says Joker right there. What is this? Somebody tell me. I gotta know. What is that game she's playing? It looks like Rummy Cube for really smart people. I can't. I feel like I'm trying to read upside down hieroglyphs. There's a Joker right there. I don't know. Looks like a dragon head or something right here. And I don't know. Maybe some type of, I don't know. It's like a mountain or a volcano here. Dragon-esque and a Joker. What is this? What is that? Florida Shuffle? No. Wait, let me scroll to the bottom comment. Thanks so much to Hanib for the $4.99 super sticker. Mahjong. What is that? What is that? Mahjong. A game of skill, strategy, and luck? Oh my gosh. This is it. Tile-based game that was developed in the 19th century in China and has spread throughout the world, played by 4 players with 3-player variations. The game's regional variants are played throughout the Sinosphere. What's that? Oh, never heard that word. And Southeast Asia have also become popular in Western countries. The game has been adapted to a widespread form of online entertainment, similar to the Western card game Rummy. It did look like Rummy Cube. Mahjong is a game of skill, strategy, and luck. To distinguish it from Mahjong Solitaire is sometimes referred to as Mahjong Rummy. Has 144 tiles based on Chinese characters and symbols, although regional variations may omit some tiles. In most variations, each player begins by receiving 13 tiles. We got 13s, we got 144s. Sounds like a great time. Okay. Okay, next. Back to this article. So there's the manholes or the septic or whatever they were digging around, poking around in there with the sticks. But it looks like this is like water too. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, on Saturday, 2 days ago, Savannah and her 2 siblings shared a second video addressing their mother's potential captors. We received your message. We understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us. The cops were seen back at Annie's house on Saturday doing a supposedly consensual search. Now we're being told. Okay, so now I want to just show y'all some other septic system stuff. Again, like I said, this guy, he really did some research here, so I want to share it with y'all. Matte Black ink diagram, photographs, and documents showing the septic waste system. This is the residence of the sister-in-law of Nancy Guthrie and daughter Annie Guthrie. Oh, or the son-in-law? I don't know. I don't know whose residence this is. Okay. These are all public records. I just want to show y'all this stuff in case, to help find Nancy. I don't exactly even really know what I'm looking at, but this guy does seem to have done a lot of work there. So, y'all can go check him out. Okay, hold on. Okay. So now I want to circle back. I want to renew my question. Who called 911? We got a church congregant that called the family and reported that Nancy, just like every other Sunday, didn't show up to church. But for some reason, it's a huge deal on this day. Okay. And this is where it starts to get real weird. Okay. It's already got pretty weird. This is where it starts to get real weird. Okay. For this one, I'm going to pull up a video. I have a video to show y'all. And I downloaded it because I feel like it's going to get deleted. I feel like it's just going to be gone. This is my big moment I've been preparing for this whole time. Okay, so just bear with me. Okay. This is so weird. It's just so weird. I just there's no other way to really explain it, okay? Mark Kelly, who is first of all, before we even get any further, do y'all remember Gabby Giffords, who got pew-pewed at like a campaign event in, I believe it was Arizona, and she was in like critical, care and stuff? Gabby Giffords, you remember her? She got pew-pewed. Put a 2 in the chat if you remember that whole thing. Gabby Giffords. Okay. Gabby's husband is a man by the name of United States Senator Mark Kelly. Let me show a picture of him real quick. He does bear a remarkable resemblance. I mean, one could be forgiven for confusing him with Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Or, Lord of the Rings. I mean, one could be forgiven. Okay, so the guy just he has a very radish appearance. Okay, like I believe in face reading. I really do. I believe in it. I believe you can look at a face and know. You know what I mean? Just, this is not to be trusted. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was going to say face only a mother could love. I bet you his mama don't trust him. However, that's not why we're here today to talk about that. Why we're here today to talk about this senator is because before the police knew Nancy Guthrie was missing, before the Pima County Sheriff's Department knew that Nancy Guthrie was missing, United States Senator Mark Kelly, husband of Gabby Giffords, knew. Okay, let's read the article. He said Today Show host Savannah Guthrie called him about her mother's disappearance from her Tucson home before the news went public. The morning show host's mother was reported missing February 1st after her fellow church congregants, now it was one parishioner. It used to be one congregant. Now it's all these fellow congregants. You see how the slope done slipped. Noted she did not attend her weekly Sunday church service, which I don't know how they could possibly have known that, since there's no way to see who's attending the church service on the Vimeo app, as Steve Fisher reported. He could be wrong, but he usually ain't. She was last seen by her daughter and son-in-law after they dropped her off at home the night before. Since she went missing, 2 alleged ransom notes have been issued. United States Senator Mark Kelly revealed he learned about the horrific situation before it was made public and has been involved in assisting the investigation. He is a legislator. We have branches of government for a reason. We have lawmakers, law enforcers. These are different branches. These are different categories. We have lawmakers. We have the executive branch. We have the judicial branch. We have the legislative branch. We have law enforcement. That falls under the executive branch. What in the hell is this lawmaker doing investigating a case? If he wanted to be a cop, he should have been one. Let me show y'all this video. Because we really need to discuss this one. We got to break it down. I'm trying to see which. I guess this is as good as any. Okay. Mark Kelly, with his military hat on his head. Senator Mark Kelly says Savannah Guthrie called him after learning her mom was missing. Let's hear it. Let's hear what he has to say.
Well, I first learned of it, before it was public. Savannah called me, because she knows I live here.
Okay, hold on. I got to put this in my notes. He first learned about it because Savannah called him. Okay, well, I renew my question. How did Savannah know her mom was missing? And there's so many times we're going to have to stop this video, y'all, because there's just very important stuff going on here that it has to be discussed. And it seems like nitpicking, but yeah, it's a woman is freaking missing and the story doesn't add up. This man gets a call from Savannah and is told Nancy Guthrie is missing, but Savannah doesn't live in Arizona. Or maybe she does, but she wasn't there at the time. She was about to get on a plane and come back because she heard her mom was missing. And she called Senator Mark Kelly before the cops. Why am I saying that, you might be asking? Why do you think? Why do you think that she called him before the cops? Because he freaking said he called the cops. Dun, dun, dun. Listen.
Called me, because she knows I live here. And then I called the sheriff, and I called the Tucson police chief. So that was, that was mid-afternoon on Sunday.
He called the sheriff, and he called the chief of police. Why? Y'all, really seriously, I don't even care if someone's rich and famous and powerful. Your mom is missing and you don't immediately call 911 yourself? She had to check in with the nearest United States senator? Put a 3 in the chat if this is freaking strange. And put a 4 in the chat if this is the first time you're hearing of this. They said the family called the cops. Why did Mark... Or is it a true statement? The family did call the cops because they're all in it together. This is the cops, the lawmakers and the law enforcement's the same thing. I don't know. I'm going to let y'all hear it from the beginning one more time just to catch us up to where exactly we are, because I think this is shocking. The first 14 seconds. And then to put a 5 in the chat if you see why now. If you now see why I think this is going to get deleted, put a 5 in the chat. If you also think this might get deleted.
Well, I first learned of it, before it was public. Savannah called me, because she knows I live here. And then I called the sheriff, and I called the Tucson police chief. So that was, that was mid-afternoon on Sunday. And Savannah was on the way to the airport.
And for timeline purposes, mid-afternoon on Sunday, when did the cops get called that she was missing? Around noon. So United States Senator Mark Kelly, just because he's from here, calls the sheriff and calls the chief of police to report a lady missing. Okay, that's freaking weird. But even if I could somehow get past that, I have to renew my question. How did Savannah know for sure that her mother was missing? Because some lady at the church said it? She didn't maybe send her sister over there to the house to check on the mom who lives 15 freaking minutes away? This isn't how normal people would be acting. I'm reminded. Yeah, he called directly. He called directly. And guess what else? I'm going to get into, I might even read the exact email that I sent to the police, because this right here is a public record. This United States senator calling the police chief is a public record. This United States senator calling the Pima County sheriff is a public record, and we are entitled to it. Do you not think it's kind of odd? Put a 6 in the chat if it's kind of odd. We haven't heard the 911 call. Yes, we have heard some dispatch calls, very many, about 5 minutes worth, 4.5 minutes worth. But don't you think it's kind of weird we haven't heard this supposedly frantic 911 call? If the family called 911, why hasn't that been released? Where's the 911 call? I renew my question. Who called 911? Who called 911? It's not even actually a credible, it's not even a credible report. Imagine it this way. All right. I live in New Jersey. My mom lives in Louisiana. I happen to have a sister that also lives in Louisiana, a little bit about 20 minutes away. Very similar scenario. Imagine it. One day I get a call. Ring, ring, ring. Your mom didn't show up for church. Okay. Or whatever, right? First thing I'm doing is calling my mom. I might call, like my stepdad or whatever, but this wasn't the case there. Then I'm going to call my grandma. I'm going to call her. Has anyone heard from mom? Can somebody go over there? The very last thing I'm going to do is call the United States senator from my district. He didn't say Savannah called me because we're good friends. He said because she knows I live here. This is weird, and it don't add up, and it don't make sense at all. How did Savannah Guthrie even know her mother was missing? She couldn't have possibly known her mother was missing. She wasn't in town. It hadn't been 5 days. It had been a few hours. My mom's not answering the phone is different than my mom is missing. Call the police. Or should I call the police? Why is she calling the senator? And why is the senator calling the cops? Why didn't the senator tell her, okay, well, then you need to call the cops and make a report? He called like on a freaking private line on a non-recorded call, so no one had to call 911. Put a 6 in the chat if it's weird we don't have a 911 call. It's weird. Where is the 911 call? Where is it? I don't like being lied to. I don't like being lied to. They could have kept all this drama and all this circus off my algorithm and off my screens, and I wouldn't have nothing to say about it. But we have United States senators, public servants, who Arizona tax dollars go to pay their salary, coming out here inserting themselves into these investigations, and then we don't get the full transparency? No, I'm calling foul on that. I'm calling foul on that. Actually, this face I'm making, this is the me too. Hashtag me too. This is the face that I'm feeling right now too, Mark. And it's always going to be a mark. I'm going to go back. To the 8 second. I'm going to start over again because it's astonishing to me. I'm astonished.
Well, I first learned of it, before it was public. Savannah called me, because she knows I live here. And then I called the sheriff, and I called the Tucson police chief. So that was...
Those are public records, by the way. Those calls are supposed to be public records. Now I'm wondering if this United States senator, in an attempt to cover up something that happened, Perhaps, I don't know. Somebody please tell me, somebody with some military background. Which camo is this? That Navy? What camo is that? Is it Air Force? Thank you, me and my cat, for the $10 super chats. Somebody who's like military, what camo is that? Army? You don't, somebody who knows for sure, tell me. I'm about to ask GPT. I don't even talk to that thing. He was in the Navy. Okay. Maybe she didn't want the FBI involved. Well, what the does that have to do with calling your nearest United States senator? If you don't want the FBI involved, you should absolutely not call your federal representative, the one who represents your state at a federal level or anybody's state. You should definitely not make it an interstate issue if you don't want the FBI involved. You should definitely only call the local authorities if you don't want the FBI involved. So, opposite of sense does that make? Okay. Somebody said Minecraft. Snow camo? What's that mean, though? He's an astronaut? No freaking way. From a law enforcement family, if you know the police chief, that's who you're calling. Yeah, well, must be freaking nice. It must be freaking nice to be able to forego what everybody else has to do and call 911. You just call straight to it must be nice. I thought we got rid of royalty and monarchies and aristocracies. I thought we did. Who knew? Who knew? I learn something new every day. Tell you that.
I called the sheriff and I called the Tucson police chief. So that was, that was mid-afternoon on Sunday, and Savannah was on the way to the airport to fly here. And obviously, rather upset. So
why?
I've been doing whatever I can do.
Why? How could she be? How could she be rather upset? She wasn't even in town. There's stuff that's going on, has to be stuff going on that they're just not telling us in the background, because like the stuff that they put out publicly just makes no sense. She was so upset and so freaking out that she was jumping on a plane to fly across state lines to come back to Arizona, but not upset enough to call 911. She had to call Daddy Astronaut to check in. She had to do a check-in first with the senator. Something's not adding up here. This ain't how normal people operate. Something's weird with it. And it's Savannah. Everybody's been pointing a lot of fingers at Annie. Everybody's been pointing a lot of fingers at Tommaso. Savannah did this reach around.
Be there to support her, and I could hear. I didn't have much information, but I could hear, how stressful of a situation this was for her. But, this case is in very capable hands with the sheriff and with the FBI, and I know they're doing everything they can.
Okay, y'all. It is now 6:53 p.m. We're 7 minutes away from the ransom deadline. Someone is telling me who told Savannah. Who told Savannah? Somebody is telling me that Sorry, I got distracted by text messages. Somebody told me that TMZ posted a video update recently. Oh, 2 hours ago? I'm definitely not about to sit through their whole live. I didn't realize you were trying to tell me they live. I'm not watching no damn live. Okay. Let me get back to my next. Let me go to my next line item. Okay. Hold on. Okay, I think this is another one of those articles. Let me turn it on reader here. Mark Kelly says upset Savannah Guthrie rang him before police. Before police. Rang him before police. He learned about the situation before it was public. Before it was public, he said he has a long-standing relationship with the news reporter, which made him eager to help her. Obviously, she was upset, so I've been doing whatever I can do. She's a friend. I've known her, and I just wanted to be there to support her. I don't have much information, but I could hear how stressful the situation was. The case is in very capable hands with the sheriff and the FBI, and I know they're doing everything they can. It comes after U.S. President Donald Trump hinted on Friday that more information about the investigation would be revealed soon. After the mother was reported missing, officers examined her $1 million Tucson residence, where they discovered blood at the front entrance and evidence of a break-in, prompting investigators to believe she may have been taken against her will. On Friday, Trump indicated that federal investigators working the case may soon provide definitive information about what happened to her. I think we are doing very well, he said. Very well, meaning we have some clues that I think are very strong, and I think he could have some answers very soon. I'm not talking about a search. I'm talking about a solution. We have some things that I think will maybe come out reasonably soon from the Department of Justice or the FBI. When questioned whether authorities had identified a person of interest, Trump said, yeah, could be definitive. A lot has taken place in the last couple of hours. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos stated on Friday that authorities are operating under the belief that the mother remains still alive. They conducted their third search of the home. She lives in constant pain. Okay. Somebody said Brian Enton posted a short, so let me go to that. We are now 3 minutes away from the ransom deadline. New statement from sheriff on Nancy Guthrie. When did this come out? 10 minutes ago.
From the Pima County Sheriff's Office. I'm going to read it to you.
New statement.
It says, we do not have any additional information to release publicly this afternoon. The investigation into Nancy Guthrie's disappearance remains active and ongoing. We understand the significant public interest in this case. However, investigators need time and space to do their work. If and when relevant information becomes available, it will be shared. They say there's going to be no press briefing scheduled right now unless something happens. And then they say many of you observed an active law enforcement presence at the Guthrie residence over the weekend. Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
That activity will continue tonight and into tomorrow as part of the ongoing investigative process, including the expansion of the search and follow-up on new leads. So that's interesting there. I don't know if we're going to see them coming back out here. This is all part of the investigative process as the search for Nancy expands and new leads come in. To preserve the integrity of this criminal investigation, details of that process are not being released at this time. It's interesting that they say new leads are coming in. So that's kind of the latest. I'm still outside Nancy's house. I'm just in the car, but I'll keep you guys posted.
Okay.
So there's a new statement from the Pima County Sheriff's Office.
So nothing. They're going to keep investigating, but nothing. Okay. We're now 2 minutes away from the deadline of the ransom. And other people are finding this to be weird. Why would Savannah Guthrie call Senator Mark Kelly before the police when she discovered her mother went missing? This whole situation is starting to smell like a Democrat. Me personally, I don't think it smells like anything political at all whatsoever, because both sides of this bird's wings is rotting. Okay. They're all in on it together. There is no left versus right. I promise you that. It's good versus evil. But anyway, I do agree with this person's question. Why? I don't get it. I don't especially get why you would call this thing. And look, again, another different news source. Senator Mark Kelly says Savannah Guthrie rang him before calling police after her mother's abduction. And not only that, but when he was helping out the investigation, he brought donuts. To the cops. He brings support donuts for deputies working on the case. He was in the national spotlight for the last major national news event to hit the Tucson area, stopped by the Pima County Sheriff's Department on February 6th to drop off donuts and coffee for the deputies and lend his support. As they continue to search for Nancy Guthrie, they've been working really hard on this, hundreds of them around the clock to bring Nancy Guthrie home. Well, they're not working hard enough because she's still missing. And they don't even have any updates for us. Anyway, I'm not paying azcentral.com to read the rest of this paywalled article, so we'll just have to just live with knowing that he brought donuts. Okay. Let me move on to my next item. I think we already read this article. Yeah, the frantic 911 call. Wait, the deputy sheriff is taking the information from the guy right now. In the video of the soft stand, I don't know what that means. Time's up. Yep, we're 1 minute past the deadline. We're 1 minute past the deadline. It is now 7:01 p.m. Eastern, which means it is 5:01 p.m. Mountain Time. This is the infamous, long, dreaded deadline in the case. And yeah, so Art Zahabi said, when was she last at church? 5 years ago. Apparently, she stopped going to church on Sunday morning during the COVID pandemic. Her sister called the cops. Who said? Because all I saw was family. 1 minute past is sick in a way, sitting around waiting for the clock to strike. And then the image in my head. I mean, y'all, I hope for the best and all, but I think if she's going to be no longer among the living, that it was probably not just in the last 1 minute that it happened. It is very sad. I have no connections with the one big one broke cook. This never happens to me, God forbid. So who from the church informed the family? That's what I want to know. Who informed the family from the church? Who from the family called the cops? Or was it Mark Kelly, the United States Senator? Week without meds is very concerning. There's a reason no proof of life was given. Very interesting. Okay, so let me get to let me just type in like Nancy Guthrie news or whatever, just to see if anything new has broken since I've been on, the last time we checked. Oh man, okay. Looks like nothing new. Just stuff from 3 hours ago, 9 hours ago. Investigators. Okay, this is new. I mean, not that new. It's like from a few hours ago, but this is something I haven't seen before. Artificial intelligence experts are working with the cops to find clues in the Nancy Guthrie ransom note. Investigators in the Nancy Guthrie abduction are consulting with artificial intelligence experts to examine ransom notes to determine the validity and possible origins of the messages, sources told The Times on Monday. As a second deadline given for the Guthries to pay $6 million in Bitcoin at 5 p.m. Monday, already passed 4 minutes ago, the family was racing against the clock. The 84-year-old grandmother has been gone for 9 days with no evidence she's receiving medication. She needs proof she's even still alive. The sources spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to comment publicly. Nancy's disappearance, which police initially said was a missing person case, was odd from the beginning. And the mystery has only deepened with time. In this case, 21st century technology has added a new dimension. For decades, FBI profiles and veteran detectives parsed the grammar and syntax of ransom notes, looking for clues that could reveal someone's education level or socioeconomic background, among other details. With traditionally handwritten notes, typed notes, it's going to be unique to the person who wrote it. University of Hawaii Police Chief Andrew Black, who was previously an FBI special agent in charge of the Tucson office, He said there will be some indicators, whether it's writing style or grammar or spelling errors, that can help you identify who created it. Now, such messages can be written by AI, eliminating a writer's signature voice. This, the FBI guy added, adds another layer of complexity to the investigation. Adding to the issues in the case, the kidnappers are asking for money using cryptocurrency, which is much harder to track than the money drops of years past. The way kidnappers have been communicating is also out of the ordinary. The methodology of these individuals doesn't match what typical kidnappers do who are holding someone for ransom. They usually establish a direct line of communication with the victim's family and law enforcement, and they exclude the public and the media because they don't want additional attention. But in this case, the ransom demands have gone directly to the media. One message sent directly to the family. Okay, there was a message that was sent directly to them, but that was the fake. This is a man who was determined not to be involved in the disappearance. The other two messages, one from February 2nd and another one from Friday, were sent to news outlets. In the meantime, the family has reached a point of desperation, pleading with the public via social media for help finding their mother. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Today's show anchor Savannah Guthrie, Nancy's daughter, said in a video today. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you that you report, please report it to law enforcement. We are in an hour of desperation. On Saturday, Savannah spoke directly to the kidnappers in a cryptic video saying that her family would pay for her mother's return. Sources told the Times that the ransom note received on February 2nd felt credible because it included details about a specific damaged piece of property and the placement of an accessory in the home that had not been made public. This was the damaged floodlight and also the placement of the Apple Watch. That has been publicly reported now. The letter contained a first deadline of 5 p.m. on Thursday and a second demand with Monday deadline. That's today. Harvey Levin, founder of celebrity news website TMZ, has reviewed one of the 3 identical letters that were sent to the media outlets and told CNN on Thursday that the Monday deadline is far more consequential. Harvey said Thursday night that TMZ had confirmed the Bitcoin address was real, that wallet. He said they went to great lengths in sending this email to us, making sure that it stays anonymous. It is carefully crafted, the letter is, and this is not something that somebody threw together in 5 minutes. Concerns about the validity of the ransom note are not unfounded. Last week, after the family posted a tearful video pleading for their mother's safe return, authorities said Derek Kayea of Hawthorne sent an imposter ransom message demanding Bitcoin to 2 members of the family. Investigators linked his phone number to an email address and later his home, according to court records. As the investigation drags into a second week, authorities have not publicly identified anyone as a person of interest or a suspect. Investigators have returned to the home several times to process evidence, at one point appearing to search inside a septic tank near the property. Hours before she vanished, Nancy had spent the evening with family gathering for dinner and a game night at her oldest daughter's home. Her son-in-law dropped her back home just after 9:45. About 4 hours later, 1:47 a.m., officials said her doorbell camera disconnected. Then at 2:12 a.m., the security camera software detected a person or an animal on one of the home's cameras. But Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos said authorities have not been able to recover that video and they don't know which camera recorded the movement. About 15 minutes later, 2:28 a.m., Nancy's pacemaker app shows a disconnect from the phone. That appears to be exactly when she left her home, as the phone was left behind. When Nancy didn't, quote, show up for church Sunday, her family went to check on her at home. Discovered her missing, but I guess didn't discover the blood, and called police. Authorities said her doorbell camera had been removed and who's the family? That's what I want to know. If the family went to check on her, I have reason to believe that Charles Cameron is from Vermont, and I have reason to believe Savannah Guthrie wasn't there. So who was the family that went check on her? The same people to see her last? That's interesting. Authorities said her doorbell camera had been removed and there were blood splatters near the front door. Although Guthrie is of sound mind, family members have said she has physical ailments that prevent her from walking long distances and she uses a pacemaker. There's been no proof of life offered by the abductors. Black is the last name of this person, this like former FBI guy. He said that Nancy's health problems make the investigation much more urgent. He believes the FBI will be able to solve the case given the massive resources it has. He said, I do think they're going to get to the bottom of this. It's just a question of if they can do it in a timely manner, that we get a positive result and we have this woman returned safely. That is interesting. Okay, let's move right along then. I think I already read this. Oh, this is interesting. Wait. Look at this article. It's Desert Hunt. Savannah Guthrie's sister, Annie, and husband, Tommaso, seen for the first time as FBI visit and hunt for mom, Nancy. Have y'all seen this? I haven't even seen this picture, but this is an old article. This is 5 days ago. Annie was seen with her husband driving away from their home on Tuesday. It was like a week ago. I didn't see this. There they are. Savannah's sister. Okay, that's them at the opera. So there's Annie, the sister. There's Savannah. And then their mom, Nancy, who's missing. And we're hoping she gets returned safely. Girl. Annie covered her face with a hood. The sighting came as law enforcement. Okay, let's see. On Sunday morning, the family conducted the family conducted a wellness check after parishioner said she never, quote, showed up. Again, she never showed up for church. They found the mom's wallet, phone, and car untouched, but they called 911 when she was nowhere to be found. Who called 911? Mark said he did. Despite the frustrating dead ends, Nanos has publicly thanked the family. Since the cops spoke with the media, devastating pictures have emerged showing blood outside the home. Photos taken outside the property show the trail leading outside. It's a trail leading outside the front door and down the porch step. Police have not directly addressed the blood drops, saying they don't want to threaten the investigation. The sheriff's department has confirmed that all DNA samples do belong to her. Oh my God. The grim scene was captured after an insider said there were signs of forced entry. Okay, there they are, hiding their faces. Law enforcement were said to have been chatting with the entire family about the investigation. There they are again. Oh my God, girl. I don't know about all this hiding your face stuff. The frightful search for Nancy has been made even more urgent because she has physical ailments. Since the beginning, it's been clear that her life could be at risk if she isn't getting the proper care. Fears spread. Nancy was abducted as a part of a ransom plot, but the sheriff previously said he didn't believe it was the case. On Tuesday afternoon, several newsrooms reported getting what appeared to be ransom notes. Okay, again, these are like kind of outdated news reportings, but I hadn't seen those pictures. Okay. So now I want to switch gears a little bit from the 911 call. I want to go to the suspicious vehicles section of this video. And we're going to talk about the suspicious vehicle at the Chevron, which I hadn't heard about until today. So this is a tweet from JLR Investigates. I really don't care what your feelings are on JLR Investigates because he's actually out there on the scene and we're not. So I'm very grateful to him for going over there and finding stuff out. He said, confirmed. This was 2 days ago. Chevron employee tells me FBI came here on Thursday for surveillance footage. This is at North Oracle and Rudisill Road. It's between where Nancy Guthrie lives and where Annie and Tommaso live. So between where Annie, the daughter, and her husband live and where Nancy went missing from, this gas station is in between, and it's got the Dairy Queen at it. It's a Chevron, and JLR Investigates went over there to the Chevron and talked to the people And apparently, the FBI went over there Thursday asking for surveillance footage, but that's not all. He also said Monday, too. Sheriffs, not the FBI, but sheriffs came on Monday. Definitely interesting. Where is Nancy Guthrie? Okay, so that's a chevron. Now I want to direct your attention back to the Circle K. Okay, the Circle K. Circle K, Guthrie residence, and then Evans residence. Annie Guthrie, Tommaso Cioni home is less than 2 minutes from where law enforcement collected video footage. And this is not a chevron. This is a Circle K. So law enforcement is going around to these gas stations and asking for surveillance footage. Now, is this over here the chevron? No. Looks like a tire. I don't know. It's hard to tell what that is. Let's see. There's a map. This is that Matte Black Ink account again. Here's that gas station. This is the Circle K they were at right by Annie. And this is back to JLR investigates. So we're talking about a Circle K and we're talking about a chevron. Both. Okay, so I did also find, speaking of suspicious vehicles, I did also find a more up-close picture than I had access to yesterday of that second car that was towed in a search for where Nancy Guthrie is. And here is that blue. There's the blue vehicle inside the garage. I think this is the one that was at Nancy's house. And although she was not, remember we read earlier, she was not actually, what the heck? Okay, let me get back to where I was. She was not actually driving her car anymore. According to Steve Fisher, SF Investigates. But here's the car, or the vehicle, rather. Did I do it again? Okay, there we go. The vehicle, I can't exactly tell what kind. Subaru of some sort. A blue one. This was Nancy's car, though, I think. The one in her garage. Okay. Now, since we're in the suspicious vehicle section of the video, we got to talk about this suspicious vehicle. Now, this article is about 4 days old, but very interesting. Up to no good. Missing Nancy Guthrie's neighbor called 911 over a car creeping up his driveway as cops probe trespasser in a nearby yard. Police returned to Nancy's property to canvass neighbors and have been seen searching the woods behind her house. Officers were called after a suspicious man was seen lurking in a yard just steps away from the missing 84-year-old's Arizona home. So there was a suspicious lurker about. There's that splatter trail. Oh man. Lord help poor Nancy. And she's got a little Amazon package. Oh, poor thing. That is sad. Ugh. Police are now looking further into the case to see if it's tied to the mother of Savannah Guthrie going missing. Nancy, 84, was last seen Saturday night. Hold on. Reports have since surfaced detailing how concerned neighbors called police in early January. So this isn't like after Nancy went missing. This is like the beginning of January. Early January, after spotting some suspicious activity on the roads, an elderly man spotted the trespasser at his Tucson home, less than 10 minutes away from 84-year-old Nancy's house. The Pima County Sheriff's Department has since told TMZ that the report has now been forwarded to the unit investigating Nancy's case for possible leads. The elderly man told police that he caught the loiterer in his yard after a motion sensor went off and a floodlight switched on in his driveway. The unnamed old man said the light spooked the visitor, who fled on foot before anyone could get a good look at his face. And he is not the only one to report suspicious activity in the weeks and months leading up to Nancy Guthrie going missing. Brett McLinty has lived in the neighborhood for 5 years, and he said it's a quiet area and they don't often see trouble. He said, I tend to think it's just a pretty quiet, safe neighborhood.
On behalf of our family,
He said he reported a similar incident to police because it was out of the norm for how quiet the area normally is. He said, I've been here 5 years. We've actually had no big problems here. I did report one time to the police a few months ago, though. I noticed a car creeping down my driveway when I was coming to park. They backed out slowly. I looked at them. You couldn't see the license plate because they were backing out. But that's the only time in 5 years someone's been on my property where it's like they seem like they're up to no good. They were a young couple in their 20s, in my opinion. I just remember it was a sedan, like a little 2 or 4-door sedan, not real big, not an expensive car, not an SUV, just like kind of a sedan. Again, they looked rather on the younger side, like in their 20s. And that's the only time in all these years I've ever seen something that raised concerns. Anybody who knows her, others in the area have told how Nancy was known and loved in the whole community. Anybody who knows her and has met her loves her. I don't think she has any enemies, and that's why the whole thing is scary. She hasn't been seen since she was dropped off at her Tucson home. On Wednesday, they confirmed her son-in-law dropped her off around 9:45. He waited to make sure that she got inside okay. She suffers from physical ailments. Nancy had been spending the evening with her daughter, Annie's family, for dinner. But the following morning, the family was horrified when police say they got a call. Right. So police say they got a call from a parishioner. Who got the call? Police or the family? See how that's ambiguous? Around 12 p.m., the family called 911 to report her missing after conducting a wellness check at her home. They found her wallet, phone, and car untouched, but she was nowhere to be found. Eerie photographs appear to show drips of blood outside Nancy's front door, leading to the start of her driveway. Cops haven't commented on the disturbing sight, but confirmed all the DNA samples are Nancy's. They're now investigating people close to Nancy. They have not ruled out the idea that the attack was carried out by kidnappers, but also they're looking at the family and the people close to her. They're following every lead. It comes after it emerged that Nancy hasn't been to church in Tucson for years. She hasn't been to church in person for years. That's a quote, 4 years. That's despite police confirming she was reported missing after a worried congregation member called her family when she did not show up for church. A source told the Daily Mail that Nancy hasn't actually been seen in person since the COVID pandemic at that church. The church leaders wouldn't confirm or deny. All we can tell you is Nancy has been a member for years. We're praying for her, and that's all we can really say. So that is the suspicious vehicles section. And this Matt Black character, yet again, I think this is pretty good detective work, and this is all public record stuff. But now Tommaso and Annie do seem to be deleting stuff from social media, or stuff about them now seems to be being deleted from social media. Mr. Tommaso Sioni, 6th grade, an AP biology teacher. How long have you taught at Basis? This is a 11-year-old post, but as you can see up here, more social media articles deleted regarding Tommaso, the husband of Annie. He's the son-in-law of the missing Tucson resident Nancy Guthrie. Law enforcement stated that no one is cleared regarding the investigation. Things are getting removed. And apparently this is one of the ones getting removed. How long have you taught at the school? He was in his 5th year, so he started like 2010. What do you love most about teaching? I love the fact that I'm able to share my passion for learning with my students. Since I teach 6th grade in AP biology, I love seeing them growing from preteens to young adults and seeing them express their potential. Who's your role model? He said his dad. He taught him his love for nature. I still go and forage for mushrooms with him when I go back to Italy. My mom taught me the love for cooking and to cherish food. These two passions still define who I am today. If you weren't a teacher, he said I would be a rock star, of course. But wait, I am a rock star, so I guess I'd be a herpetologist who would study viruses. Okay, that's interesting. He writes poetry in Italian, but he doesn't know if that classifies as a fun fact. Oh, he got a parasite during his trip to Costa Rica, and he let it be in his leg for 3 months to show his kids the parasite host relationship firsthand. Okay, this guy's a freaking weirdo. What in the MK Ultra hell? Imagine your dad leaves the parasite alive in his leg just to show you the host parasite relationship. Like, you could probably show that with just, like, you know, I digress. I gotta look up what this parasite is though. Larva migrans. I'm looking up the parasite he got. Ew! It's a hookworm. Ew! Oh God, no. Hell no. Oh my God. Get it off of the screen. I can't show it to y'all. It's nasty. Oh no. I wish I hadn't seen that. New fear unlocked. Okay, something is wrong with him for sure, in my opinion. If that's real. It's nasty. It's like a worm under your skin. Ugh. Ugh. Yuck. I rebuke. Okay. Anyway, so he's dirty. I guess he wants to let us know he's dirty. All right, got it. Now we have some Savannah update. And this is from the Daily Mail. Anguished Savannah Guthrie rushes to $1.2 million desert hideaway amid FBI search at Sister Annie's home. And as 5 p.m. ransom approaches. Now, this might be paywall. No, some of these Daily Mail ones are paywall exclusive. Anguished Savannah Guthrie rushes to $1.2 million desert hideaway amid the search. Oh, it is. I got to figure out a way for how to read these documents without having to pay. Okay, anyway, no, the deadline already passed, girl. We are we're 26 minutes past the deadline, unfortunately. Oh, this is a good point. Portable Regulation Studios said, it's known that if someone doesn't call 911 first after discovering something this awful, that is a clue to the detectives that it's an inside job. I don't know if that's true or not, but that would be interesting. And I'm not saying like just like getting a little, parasite worm in Costa Rica makes you dirty. I think it makes you dirty if you have access to the healthcare system to get rid of the worm that's right there on your skin that everybody can see, and you just want to like traumatize your kids by showing them how cool parasites are. I think that is where it kind of crosses the threshold. Ew. Okay. Okay, so I guess she's hiding away in a mansion or whatever. I mean, I wish I could read that article, but I just refuse. Okay, so we have reached the end of my line items. So let me just look for some more updates real quick. Not Savannah. I want Nancy. Oh, the video. We got to watch the video. I didn't reach the end of my line items. Excuse me. We got to watch Savannah's newest video. One second. And this one came out today. Okay, so just to recap, this was that first one. This was the second one with just the brother. This was the third one. This one came out the day before yesterday. And now this one just came out today.
I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement.
I've seen and heard some things that seem strange to me, girl. I'll leave it at that.
We are at an hour of desperation and we need your help. Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on.
I just felt like it was worth just listening to it fully, like again. I just want to really take it all in.
Just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you.
Wait, somebody's saying a warrant was issued for the son-in-law? You better not be lying, girl.
We are at an hour of desperation.
I'm about to type that in. Can we get confirmation that there was a warrant issued for son-in-law? Or are you trolling? Where you saw that? No, I don't see that. You made that up. She was taken and we don't know where she was taken. Any chance the kidnappers want her to keep making these videos like they enjoy them? Could be that they want, could be. It could be that they want attention. Why did they have ICAC at the sister and the mom's house? Great question. She has not once begged for her release. Sighing so much is bad theater practice, like saying a lot in a speech. Amateurs think it's natural. Yeah, I mean, I was like avoiding saying that it was kind of giving Erica Kirk just because, like, again, y'all, like, I mean, God forbid I ever have to be in a situation where I'm making videos about, you know, and my mom is missing. Okay. Like, I mean, I really, I don't want to be the actor police over here, especially because most of these statements, if not every single one of these statements, has probably been vetted by FBI and vetted by the sheriff and ran through freaking Mark Kelly and everybody else. And so it's like, you know, hard to imagine being in a situation where you have to like perform authenticity for people in the middle of all of this, you know, going on and turmoil and trauma and all of that. And like, even if like somebody is quote in on it, it's like the chances that every single one of these kids, you know, of Nancy's kids is in on something like this is very low. I choose to currently not believe that. I think if any of them are in on it, then it's probably not all three of them. just stuff in the story don't add up. But why was ICAC there? I don't know. ICAC is the Internet Crimes Against Children Brigade. I did hear somebody say on one of those talking head type interviews or whatever, like one of the experts say that the reason they were there is because they are the premier like internet cyber crime task force. But I've also heard people speculate that maybe they found some other child, stuff like internet children crimes. And, I don't necessarily think that I've seen enough evidence for that. I think it may just be the case that they are just good at like, crimes, internet crimes or whatever. It really is. If you're into filmmaking, if you're into theater and filmmaking, that's why I study. And no, I don't know. Girl, I don't know. I personally like try to not even hang around too many people that are actors because it's like I feel like it's just like lying. Like I don't to some extent all the world's a stage and all of us are kind of like acting all the time, but like to some extent, like this like I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to like dog on the girl too bad or whatever. I mean, it does seem like she's going through a lot and I don't even want to imagine going through it. I'm not trying to like be mean. I really am not trying to be mean, but this is a case of extreme public importance and public concern, public interest. And if this could happen to her mom, it could happen to any of our mamas. So it makes us put, ourselves in the situation. Like if it were us, what would we do? And I just feel like this isn't what I would do, but that's not how I act, like that's not how I behave. That's not how I behave in general. So maybe, a lot of y'all might be saying, you would be on there going every 3 words or whatever. Maybe you would. I don't know. Her sighs are timed like she's having a conversation with someone who went through something tough, but she's making a statement. She's not giving an interview. Maybe that's what it is. Her training is all about she's not used to being the center of things. Like she's used to interviewing other people and kind of being the one asking the questions. It could be having to do with her training. And she has been doing this for a long time. She might have certain cadence patterns memorized or whatever, that as well. I think it's weird if Savannah has left the country. I don't think she left the country. I think it's totally fair to criticize the way that she is being though. If y'all are criticizing it, I actually think that's just fine. There is something unsettling about frankly how they're all acting, in my opinion. But again, I don't want to, I'm not the internet feelings police. I'm not the internet actor police. I think that was fake news a while ago when somebody said something about a warrant, unless they know something I don't. I'm going to look up Nancy Guthrie updates. CNN is doing live updates, but nothing. CNN has an update from 2 minutes ago. Nancy Guthrie says Nancy Guthrie case is unusual because it is playing out in front of the media, ex-hostage negotiator says. And this is another reason why I think it's completely acceptable for people to find what Savannah's doing and what these other people are doing, the siblings. I think it's completely acceptable to have criticisms of the way they're acting because this is such a public case. It's been pushed and thrust out in front of us like this. No press briefings are scheduled as the investigation remains active. Here's where things stand. Why would the investigators search the tank? I'm just looking to see. Yeah, this is another very important point. Oftentimes, it's the public that makes the lead, says former FBI agent. In criminology, professor said that Savannah's decision to ask for help is something common. Excuse me. No, I will not be paying for a CNN subscription. Please, for the love of God. Oftentimes it's the public that makes the lead, makes the lead that leads to the end of the case. She pointed out the Brown University Pew Pew, in which a tipster who spotted the suspect in his vehicle helped crack the case. The arrest of suspects in the Pew Pew of conservative media personality Charlie Kirk and Brian Thompson also relied on the broad dissemination of information to the public. I really think this is what's going to break this case open. And just to be clear, there's already been I agree, there's already been like such a huge media push that the public is concerned, the public is interested, and I don't think they needed necessarily, any of us needed Savannah Guthrie to come out and to beg and ask. I think we all like, what if we saw something, we would say something, but I mean, I guess it can't hurt. And from her perspective, I can't imagine, just sitting there, like you just sitting there like a sitting duck. Like, what are you supposed to do? And she's used to being on TV. She's used to being on the news. She's used to being out there. She's used to working. She's sitting around twiddling her thumbs. So I can imagine her feeling the need to come out and, make a statement. If it could help, it might help, I'm very concerned. I will say that. Things aren't adding up. I will also say that. The story keeps changing. I'll say that. And I renew my question. Who called the cops? Who called the family? Why did they call and report something that she never did? She never did go over there to the church in person. I'm glad they reported her. I'm glad. I'm not complaining. I'm glad it was reported like instantaneously or whatever, but something just ain't sitting right with me about it. Okay, I got y'all going over there to down the rabbit hole news. So go over there and tell her that I said hello, and drop some rabbits in the chat over there for her. That's all I really had for this one. If anything happens, breaking, I may come back on here, but I'm probably going to be done for the day. I mean, it's getting pretty close to my bedtime. But I will be back on tomorrow, most likely. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Neither are opinions. I don't know any of these people, and everybody is innocent and should be presumed innocent until proven guilty. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.